In the year 2000, Enron Corporation was named America's most innovative company for the sixth year in a row. Their stock was worth $90 a share. Their revenue appeared to top $100 billion. Wall Street loved them. Politicians protected them. The media celebrated them. 14 months later, the stock was worth 26 cents. 20,000 employees lost their jobs overnight. Retirement savings, gone. Life savings, gone. And the men who built it all had known the entire time. This is the story of the most sophisticated financial fraud in American history. How it was built, how it was hidden, and how one of the most powerful companies in the world was exposed as nothing. To understand how Enron fell, you have to understand how Enron rose. It started in 1985. A man named Kenneth Lay merged two natural gas pipeline companies in Houston, Texas. The combined company was called Enron. At the time, it was ordinary, a utility company moving gas through pipes. Nothing remarkable, nothing dangerous. But in 1989, the United States deregulated its natural gas markets, and Kenneth Lay saw something most people missed. He didn't want to just move gas, he wanted to trade it. Enron reinvented itself as an energy trading company. Instead of owning pipelines and power plants, they would act as middlemen, buying energy from producers and selling it to consumers at a profit. The model worked. Revenue grew, the stock climbed. And then they hired Jeff Skilling. Skilling was a Harvard MBA, sharp, aggressive, and utterly convinced that the old rules of business no longer applied. He had one idea that would change everything: mark-to-market accounting. Under normal accounting rules, a company reports revenue when it actually receives money. Under mark-to-market, Enron could estimate the future value of a contract the moment it was signed and book that entire estimated profit immediately. Today, before a single dollar had actually been earned. The SEC approved it in 1992, and Enron had found their weapon.
With mark-to-market accounting in place, Enron could manufacture the appearance of growth on demand. Sign a new contract, book the profits immediately. Doesn't matter if the deal ever generates real cash, the numbers looked real. The stock went up. Wall Street applauded. But there was a problem. The actual cash, the real money, wasn't coming in. Enron was booking billions in paper profits while quietly bleeding cash behind the scenes. They needed somewhere to hide the losses. Enter Andrew Fastow, Enron's chief financial officer. Fastow was a financial architect, and he built something extraordinary, a network of shell companies called Special Purpose Entities, or SPEs. These were fake companies, created by Enron, funded by Enron, controlled by Enron. But because of a technical accounting loophole, they didn't have to appear on Enron's financial statements. So Fastow moved the debt into these shell companies, billions of dollars in losses made invisible. From the outside, Enron looked clean, growing, profitable. From the inside, the company was rotting. What made Enron uniquely dangerous wasn't just the accounting fraud, it was the culture. Skilling built a system inside Enron called Rank and Yank. Every 6 months, employees were evaluated by their peers and ranked from top to bottom. The bottom 15% fired immediately. The result was a workforce paralyzed by fear. Nobody questioned anything. Nobody raised concerns, because questioning leadership meant risking your ranking. Risking your ranking meant losing your job. Blind loyalty was rewarded. Critical thinking was punished. And at the top of this culture, Kenneth Lay maintained a carefully constructed image of integrity, a church-going man, a philanthropist, a friend to presidents. while beneath him the machine ran. By 2000, Enron stock hit its peak, $90.56 per share. The company claimed revenues of $101 billion. Skilling was named CEO. The press called Enron the model for the new American corporation. And then the cracks appeared.
In August 2001, Jeff Skilling resigned. Officially, for personal reasons. Unofficially, insiders knew something was wrong. A woman named Sharon Watkins noticed it too. A vice president inside Enron, Watkins wrote a memo directly to Kenneth Lay, warning that the company's accounting was fraudulent and could implode. Lay ignored it. Then, in October 2001, Enron announced a $618 million quarterly loss, the first public signal that the numbers had never been real. The Wall Street Journal began investigating. Questions were asked about the shell companies, about Fasto, about the billions in debt that had somehow disappeared from the balance sheet. The stock began to fall. Enron's response was to reassure investors publicly, while executives quietly sold their own shares in the background. By November, the stock was under $1. Enron filed for bankruptcy on December 2, 2001, at the time the largest bankruptcy in American history. 20,000 jobs gone. Employee pension funds wiped out. Workers who had been told to keep their retirement savings in Enron stock because leadership believed in the company lost everything. The men who told them that had already sold their shares. The investigations move fast. Andrew Fastow pleaded guilty to fraud and conspiracy. He cooperated with prosecutors and received a 6-year sentence. Jeff Skilling was convicted of 19 counts of fraud and conspiracy, sentenced to 24 years, later reduced to 14. He was released in 2019. Kenneth Lay was convicted on 6 counts of fraud and conspiracy in May 2006. He died of a heart attack 45 days later, before sentencing. His conviction was vacated upon his death, meaning legally, Kenneth Lay died an unconvicted man. The accounting firm that signed off on Enron's fraudulent statements, Arthur Andersen, one of the 5 largest accounting firms in the world, was indicted, convicted, and collapsed entirely. 85,000 employees lost their jobs because of one client. Enron's collapse changed American financial regulation permanently. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act was passed in 2002, the most sweeping financial reform since the Great Depression. CEOs now face criminal liability for false financial statements. But here's what stays with you. Enron had analysts, auditors, a board of directors, government regulators, Wall Street oversight. Every single layer of protection failed, not because they couldn't see it, because nobody wanted to. That's the real story of Enron, not just the fraud, the willingness of an entire system to look away as long as the numbers kept going up. The Collapse Desk. Every week, one collapse fully investigated. If this was your first time here, subscribe. The next documentary is already in production. And if you want to understand how the same patterns that destroyed Enron showed up again in FTX, in Theranos, in Wirecard, that story is next. Watch it.